Good morning, evening, or afternoon, everybody. It's Kaghoe coming at you with another video. So, this has been highly anticipated by me and a lot of you guys that have been following the series. We are going to be doing our weekly numbers update, but this one is important because we have the announcement for the future of SOD, as well as we have the Firelands data. Now, I don't expect SOD to be too impacted until the era servers come out, so either next week or the week after, but it will be pretty cool to sort of take a dive and look at these numbers and see if SOD is still holding strong or if it is going to collapse. But before we get into the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Everything you guys do helps my channel grow, helps me get discovered, and helps me help as many people as possible, which is the entire point of my channel. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So before we go further and I dive into these numbers, just a quick disclaimer to make sure people understand exactly what we are looking at here. So we are looking at raid numbers from Warcraft logs for Cataclysm and Season of Discovery. So this is the sort of best representation that we have for population data. There are a few flaws with it, like it doesn't have any way to distinct for alts. So for example, I raid 2 characters a week, so I count as 2 in the SOD graph that you're going to see here. But other than that, it also doesn't factor in players that do not raid do logged raids as well, which there are quite a lot of people who just log in, play the game, and do some casual PvP and other things like that. So anyway, without further ado, here we go. So as we can see, this is the overall TPC Wrath 2019 all the way to Cataclysm Classic population graph. So right, you can see where these drop points are. This is where it splits. So this is where TBC launched, this is where Wrath of the Lich King launched, and this is where Cataclysm launched. So a few things jump out to me here, and I want to go over them. So from 2019 through, and it was around 300 to 400,000 players, and then TBC held about a solid 300 to 400k, probably averaged even higher because 2019 had some ups and it had some downs between NAX and BWL timeline. So that is very apparent here, but TBC was actually way more healthy and held a stronger population on average. Then we go to Wrath of the Lich King. It was the most popular expansion that Blizzard ever had, and Classic even reflects that, peaking at 626,000 raiders at one point, but for the most part it held like 400 to 500k throughout the entire expansion, and it did fall off once we got to like week 20 plus of ICC, but that's to be expected. No matter how great any raid is like ICC, people get bored, they don't show up, there's just attrition when it goes beyond like 12 to 15 weeks. You start to see massive fall off, and SOD has definitely showed us that. So now we are here at Cata. So Cata launched pretty strong, and it had about 317,000 at its all-time peak, which is very alarming because, as you can see, every single classic expansion peaked higher. So I think this was BWL launch, and it peaked at almost 500k. This was Black Temple, it peaked at 404k, and then this was the Naxxramas phase, and it peaked at 626,000 people. So as you can see, it has a peak that was about what all the other ones' average player base was, which is alarming. And then after it peaked, it only has gone down until this week. So this week was Firelands, and it actually, this is the first full week of Firelands, so everyone got to do this right here, and those are the numbers that you see, and it got 120,000, which is a big bump. Just before it dipped down to 50k, but that was just, you know, that happens right before a major one sees. You'll see that step stool everywhere. So it'll be interesting to see if it goes up or goes down or stays at 120,000. But that's about where it had been, and looks like concurrent Cata players are about there. So very interesting for rating. But I'm worried for Cata because it has dropped so quickly, and we'll need more data to determine an exact whether it's going back up or not. But it is really concerning for me to see this graph because it is such a massive quick fall off for people, and it's pretty alarming. But anyway, those are my opinions, and looking at the data here with Cata. Hopefully it grows more and Firelands is successful, because Firelands is regarded as one of the best raids for Cataclysm, but I just don't know. Time will definitely tell. Next week's going to be very revealing to see how many people play Cata, how many people are going back to Era to do Classic. That's what people are calling it. Or I'm just going to call it Classic 2024 to be way less confusing. But it'll be cool to see that and how it impacts these graphs. So anyway, let's go over to Season of Discovery. As we can see with Sod, this was Phase 1 in the beginning, and then this is where Phase 2 started. This is where Phase 3 started right here. And as you can see, very, very easy to tell these jumps and where the population has gone. So Sod Phase 1 peaked at almost 500,000 players, which is really good for a seasonal server. It has blown every seasonal content out of the water, and it is not even close. And for it to just be a completely new idea to compete with the OG 2019 numbers for Phase 1, very hype, very impressive. Love to see that. Now, there is a disclaimer here, like, it was very easy to get into BFD. You could, if you were a dedicated gamer and played for 12 hours a day, you could have a character start at level 1, get them to 25, and raid in the same day. Some of these graphs, like, I count as 8 players because I did all classes 1 week. I did it for like 2 weeks, and then I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to sit there for 4 hours and do BFD over and over and over again. But obviously, very extreme example. Most players probably were not like that. Then we come to Phase 2, Nomergon. Nomergon was actually the shortest phase that we saw. It was only 8 weeks long, and, you know, people blasted it. It had a nice, steady population, and leveling from 25 to 40 was actually very difficult in this time, so that's why you see, like, this, it took 3 weeks for people to get there, which is kind of crazy. That's when we see the big number spike right there. This drop-off is definitely when Phase 2 launched, and then you had just about the same there, so really interesting to see that. Then we come to Phase 3 after 8 weeks of Phase 2, and this number, a big important part about this is raid went to 20 instead of 10-man, and so with that, you know, that is twice as many people. It makes it much harder to pug, and Sunken Temple was a more difficult raid. So all those contributed to Sunken Temple being decent for the first couple weeks, but then we see the massive fall off. People were tired of it. It was too hard to pug. People were quitting. They were trying new things. Cataclysm came out sometime during this phase, and so as you can see, Sod hit an all-time low of 20,000 players. Now here is where it's super interesting, because when they hit these low points, the bound back points are few and far between. So then we had Phase 4 come up. This is that little step stool that I mentioned in the Cata chart, and then we go all the way up here to 75,000 with MC and the Heat 3 system, and it has gone up to about 85k and really stayed around that 85k number for all of Phase 4 and Phase 5, which is really cool to see. You have a dedicated player base that is playing Sod every week and raiding every week, and I think that is healthy for any MMO. What I think is super impressive is after it fell down steadily for 2 months, really, it then bounded back. You don't really see that happen in any graph, really, in any MMO. So when we look here, like, you see how it's just a steady decline. It did not go up until TBC. Then we see Wrath is kind of all over the place. These are major content patches where it super spikes, but then it holds for a while. We'll just have to see. Time will tell for sure. Obviously, we have a 5-year graph here opposed to a couple months, but it's really cool to see that it goes very here and it stays really, really strong, and I love to see that. Gives me hope for Season of Discovery and its future. But anyway, guys, that is it for the graphical breakdown. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, anything you would like to add, definitely drop it down below. It's always fun doing these graphs. Allows me to use some skills and some analysis other than just, you know, showing you guys how to do stuff in WoW or reporting some news. So I enjoy doing them, and you guys seem to enjoy watching them. So anyway, I'm kind of hesitant to make a prediction this week because it could really go either way. I know there's a lot of hype for Classic 2024 coming, and there's a lot of people that are going to it. However, there are a lot of people that are playing Sod and sticking with Sod. I did a poll on the channel, and we got quite a lot of viewers to reply there. I think we had over 500 votes, and people definitely overwhelmingly said Sod. It was like 70% Sod, and that's really cool to see. And a lot of people also said none in the comments because I didn't include a none of the above option. But anyway, that's it, guys. I truly enjoyed this video, and until next time, I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey, you. Yes, you. Are you still there? Well, I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this entire video and making it to the end here. If you enjoyed this video, definitely check out the other videos about World of Warcraft listed in these playlists down below. And thank you again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.